Hello everybody. Um, we're in the middle of the, well, I don't know, 4 weeks into lockdown on this coronavirus thing, which is upsetting for everybody, having to stay indoors, just go out once or twice, shopping and all this social distancing. And that's one of the reasons I'm making this little video, is to give you some help if I can, on how to kind of get your head around well, not the virus. Or can anybody ever get their head around the virus? I suppose the scientists will come up with something, hopefully. But in respect of, there must be a lot of people worrying, myself included, as to, will they catch it? Will the friends catch it? Other nurses and people who are in danger, etc. And susceptible to things like that, well, the virus. So the way I'm going to talk about it, to try and help you, is looking at how we think about this and what we can do to kind of help ourselves. And essentially it's the fear and worry dialogue that can go around in our mind, that we can paint the picture or have a dialogue with ourselves, or paint the picture in our mind that everything's terrible, nothing's going to get better, could it happen to me? So we're catastrophizing all the time, and it's the equivalent of being, I don't know, like having a belt around you which is collected, giving you electric shocks, and you're plugging it into the mains, and every time you think about it all, you're giving yourself an electric shock. And of course, we've got to see that this is really, that it's our thoughts that are doing that. Well, we know it's our thoughts that are doing that, but in the sense of, what can we do about it, and why would we want to do anything about it? Because it's reality. Well, the reality is, yes, the virus is there, but the reality also is that the more we worry, for example, cortisol producing chemicals in the body lowers our immune system resistance. We can get ill quicker. All the stress, aggravation, lack of sleep, and we can become very withdrawn, stop getting exercise. In other words, all that type of up in the head stuff can stop us doing all the things that we should be doing to help us best combat our way through this period, which it will eventually come out of, hopefully. The main thing about that is that when we're up in our head with worry, then we're not clear-headed. Our mind is on our inner dialogue, or what's in our mind's eye in front of us, and we are not seeing the real situation. We're just seeing what's in our thoughts. And a story that springs to my mind is of the Bridge of Spies film with Tom Hanks, and they were swapping a Russian spy to get Gary Powers back, who was a U-2 pilot who was caught flying over Russia taking reconnaissance photographs. And so they swapped the Russian for Gary Powers, and when the Russian was about to be released, it was put to him, was he worried about going back to the Russians, because all his secrets were no longer secrets, he had no value to the Russians. And his reply was, well, why should I worry? I'll worry if it helps. And that's what it was saying, is what good will it do? And yes, it is a natural thing to worry. I worry, everybody worries. But we either use that as a kind of a means to start the worry factory going, and the cortisol production and all the horrible chemicals it does to our body, and keeping ourselves basically withdrawn, or we can say, you know, what's going on here? What's going on with the way in which we're thinking? And so it is in a way a wake-up call to react differently to the normal way in which we react. And so what I'm saying is that when you look to the different parts of us that we have inside of us, which react to things, our ego mind, our me mind, it starts to panic, it starts to worry about tomorrow, it will look at the past when things went wrong and try and help itself. But when did that ever? In other words, the self that is giving us all those kind of horror movies in our mind gives us those pictures which are not very helpful. So we're after a different take on things, because um, the problem with our thoughts in that sense, it's who we're listening to. And there is a thing like the duality of thought. You can be saying to yourself, well, this is getting me down and I don't know what to do. And there was also another part of you that says, well, that's your trouble. You should be knowing what to do. You're not doing enough. Here you are. In other words, you cannot win. You've got like a mental civil war going on inside your head with these different aspects of your personality. And when you look at that, yes, it is you that is doing the thinking, but all those thoughts, they are not coming from the truth. They're not telling you what's actually going on right in front of yourself, you know, what is actually happening now. In fact, they're doing just the opposite. They're keeping you up in your head, distancing you from any solutions that you would normally come up with if you were clear-headed. And if you look at that aspect of yourself there, that is kind of doing all this, and you look at the self which we all have got inside ourselves, the watcher of our thoughts, and this is our best friend because this is our true self. That is the self, the part of us before all our conditioning, before thought, before judgment, before fear, because it's there. It watches what we do. It's what you would call the spirit side of us. And we are spirit on legs. And essentially, that is our best friend because it is there in the background. It taps us on the shoulder every now and then in terms of intuition or letting us know what to do. It is our real self, the real us. And if you can imagine when you're worrying all the time and prevaricating as to what to do next, and you've got your head in your hands and you're criticizing yourself and you're losing confidence because of this, that, and t'other, it must get absolutely fed up sometimes of being dragged around in that body that you've got, that has got all this kind of issues. And there it is. You know, if you could imagine you had a best friend and you was going out for a walk, for example, walk around the park, and it's whinging and cringing and worrying, and it must be saying to itself, "Oh my God, you know, here it goes again, here it goes again." And so the point I'm making here is that, yeah, naturally we have that side of us, but that side of us is not the true side of us. It is not the watcher. It is not our true self. And so how do we kind of reconcile this, that we've got that side of us that is our worry self, and we've got that side of us which is our true self, which just observes all this. One way, I'm going to today suggest two ways. One way is to change our thinking, and one way in which we can do that is to be getting on with something that takes us into our purpose, what really we are enthusiastic about or that we like doing, a hobby. It might be writing a journal, it might be watching a good film, it might be reading a good book, it might be going for a walk to appreciate what is out there. It is getting our mind away from the broken record, for example, of what's going on at the moment with the virus, that every day we turn on the news and it's worry this, worry that, lockdown. It is just taking our mind away from all that. Now, when we do this, and I've lost my picture here, so I can't see, oh, we're back. I don't know what they must have gone to sleep. Computers do, I suppose. Anyway, we're back on. So, yeah, forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, so we get on doing something. All of us have got something that we get really infused with, really happy doing. That is our makes us feel on purpose, and we feel inspired to do it when we're doing it. Now, there's the clue. It's inspired, means in spirit. We are with our true self. And so when we're engaged in those type of activities, that's when time flies. That's when we're truly happy, because we're not thinking about all these issues. We're just getting on doing what we like doing. And that is when our true self is just smiling. It's just thinking, oh, this is lovely. Now, that there are many ways in which we can get into that kind of authentic self, our inspired self, our real self. And that is a way of giving us a holiday from our miserable thoughts, our worry thoughts. But it is also doing something else. It is, as I've said, it's taking us away from those thoughts. And in effect, we are going to a before thought process, because often those things that we do, we just do without thinking. Because, Vicky, you're in the picture. I'm recording. Right. So, now, when we are before thought, it is just being there in the now. It's being really present. And this is not mindfulness. It is just being aware of things without thinking about things, without giving them the normal label that we would give them. And what I mean by label is that, you know, we look at things and we think, oh, I don't like this, or I have a judgment about that, or oh, by the way, I'm looking out the window and there's a gaggle of people who shouldn't be all collecting together because they might be spreading. So in other words, it is a different way of being with ourselves. It is just like an isness, a beingness. We're just with ourself before judgment, before any kind of um, worry, any kind of set upon thinking a particular way, which we can do it two ways. We can do it where we think about something we like, but because that can change, we can get fed up of that. Or we can worry about things that we don't like, which makes us fed up anyway. I'm not talking about positive thinking. I'm not talking about negative thinking. I'm just talking about being, just being and noticing. It's that kind of state that you get into when you're in a good meditation. I'm not talking about the process of meditation. I'm talking about the state of meditation where we're just noticing that our thoughts have stopped, that we're just there, we're just noticing our body, we're just being okay, we're in real time. There is no kind of issues about what's gone on, the past. There's no worries about the future. We're just here now, maybe sensing the blood running through our veins or the sensation in our arms and legs, and just being okay, knowing that in that moment we are okay and we're with our watcher. That's the watcher of our thoughts. And basically, we're just in pure awareness. Awareness before thought is there. It just notices. It is just alert. Now, that's when life itself, and when I'm talking about life, I'm talking about the energy of life, the intelligence behind life, things that we take for granted, like a woman being pregnant, the baby growing inside her, or grass growing outside, or anything. The fact that nature has intelligence and we don't have to figure it out. It's doing it for us. It's doing it for the animals. It's doing it for nature. It's running through everything. It's running through us now. that whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but it has wisdom. And when we go quiet to our what I call me mind, then we stop kind of drifting from one usually a worry thought to another, or even it could be a happy thought from one to another. It is just being okay. Now, in that state, when we're with the watcher, our presence, those are all words that we can use. Then we're in touch with what is, and we get to become aware of its wisdom, become aware of without our ego self, without our normal personal self coming into the equation. It's more objective. And when you're in that state, and it's not necessarily easy state to go in, well, it's the wrong word to use easy, but it's a state that we're not used to being in. We're not used to just being aware, being quiet, being content, just being there. In effect, getting into that state that we're in when we're doing something that we really like and preoccupied with what we love doing. And in that sense, when we move or shift to that position of getting our dialogue, our personal me type thoughts out of the way, that is when we get some peace. That's when we get some contentment. That's what fuels us up because we're in contact with what is for what is to come. And that is when our mind has completely cleared itself. And of course, when we go back into the system, back into the phrase, it were, we're clear headed. And when we're clear headed, we start to know what to do for the best next. And we have had, we've got away from what I would call swimming through the rough into the deeper ocean of our mind, which is where the wisdom lies. So that's all I'm suggesting is basically when we stop worrying, then we really start living. And starting to live is, I just think, is knowing that we've got this, what's the word? This, it's got our back. It's our backstop of okayness that we can always go to. It's that place where the wisdom is, where the quietness is. It's our space within that we have, which is always there, which we forget's there. We forget because we get back into life with all its this isn't, that isn't at the moment. It's the virus, and we can take a holiday from that and come back refreshed, better able to deal with what we've got in front of us. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'll try and do one of these again soon. So take care and all my love to everybody. Thank you.